Hi and welcome, I'm Simon from RidgeMonkey and you join me today for a special little recipe. Now we are going to be cooking a beautiful little oriental sweet and sour prawns. I'm going to show you how to make some sticky rice. But more than that, I've actually managed to get my hands on a brand new piece of RidgeMonkey cooking equipment. Now look at that, it's our first saucepan in the range. It doubles as a saucepan, but like the rest of the Connects, you can take the lid off. So we can take the lid off, and as you will see there, we've got some lovely little ridges. So that's going to make a fantastic little ridged frying pan. Now the first thing that we're going to get on is the sticky rice. Now what I've actually got here, I haven't got basmati or long grain, I've got sushi rice. It's available in all your local supermarkets, but it's primarily the best rice to make sticky rice with. So what we're going to do, I'll just open the back here and I'm going to half fill one of these mugs. Now this is the secret to rice when you're cooking it. We're going to use double the amount of water that we use to rice. So I've half filled that mug, that's going to go in there. And then let me get my water and we're going to fill this up. So in the pan, we've got half a cup of rice, we've tipped that out and then we've put a full cup of water. Now, two more things that are left to go in. We're just going to put some sugar in now. Sticky rice, we don't need a lot, but that's just going to help season it ever so slightly. And then I just want a little drop of oil. Not a lot, probably half a teaspoon. We'll put the lid back onto the pan. We want to create that steam in there, and we are just going to turn this pan on. We just turned the stove on, and the stove is on a high heat to start with because we want to bring that water up to a simmer. Now you notice as well, a lot of people wash your rice. I haven't washed the rice. This rice is really starchy, but I actually want that starch in the rice because that's going to help to give it that sort of gelatinous sticky effect. So we've left it as it is. So all we're going to do is bring that to a simmer. That's going to take a couple of minutes, and we're going to simmer it for about 10 minutes and then turn it off for about 5. Right, the rice has now been cooking for about 5 minutes at a simmer. We'll lift that up. Yep, that's simmering. You've got all of those bubbles coming up and you start seeing that rice thickening up ever so slightly. So what we're going to do now is actually turn this off. We're not going to carry on cooking it, but we are going to turn it off and keep the lid shut. Now, in about 10 minutes or so, that rice is going to be cooked through perfectly. You don't need to touch it, don't keep opening the lid, just wait for about 10 minutes. I know this may sound a little bit weird, but that is the easiest way to cook this rice perfectly. Don't keep it simmering on the stove, bring it to a certain point where it's about halfway and then turn it off and leave it. And what will happen is that rice will absorb all of that hot water and the starch in there will start working it, and that is when you get that lovely sticky rice with the really silky, and it almost feels like it's got that nice little gelatinous sauce wrapped around every single grain. Right guys, that rice has now been sitting there for 10 minutes, so when we open this up, the steam's coming out, and if you can just see that texture in there, you've got that lovely sticky gelatinous rice running through the pan. So what we're going to do, we're going to leave that to the side for a minute, and now we're actually going to use the little saute pan that comes with it. So we'll turn the stove back on. We're going to get that quite high now to that pan. Just going to let a little bit of that moisture evaporate ever so slightly. And we're going to add a touch of oil. We don't need a lot of oil. This is a non-stick pan after all, but we just want a touch of oil because that'll enable us to get a higher heat within that pan, ready for the prawns to go in. Now, as I said, I've bought these prawns and it's a ready mixed pack. You get some peppers in there, some nice herbs, and a sachet of sweet and sour sauce. Okay, so let's get these prawns straight into that pan. There we go. So that's sizzling straight away. Now this won't take long at all to cook. We've got this on full power. Now these prawns aren't going to take long to cook. We've got that oil in there, that was nice and hot. We've got the stove on full power, as you can see. So these are just going to sit there. We don't want to actually flash fry them in effect, because all that's going to do is just make them really tough on the outside. So we're going to use that natural steam that's just come out of there as well, once it hits that oil, just to cook those prawns through, but this won't take any more than a couple of minutes. There we go. Now these prawns are starting to turn colour. They're turning pink from the blue colour, so they're showing that they're cooking through. Next, I remembered I had a little bit of pak choy left in one of my bags from another recipe, so I'm just going to tear that up and we're just going to mix that through. Just discard those stalky bits. Once again, work on the heat of the pan just to cook that. And the last thing to go in now is going to be this sweet and sour sauce. So with the sachet of sweet and sour sauce that came with the prawns, we're just going to put that in there. That's going to mix through with the little bit of liquid that's still left in there from the prawn flavour. So we've just added the sweet and sour sauce. Now that's going to mix in through the flavour from those prawns, the peppers, that little bit of pak choy. It's going to create that nice sauce for us, give us that nice little bit of sweetness and round off that dish. Now while that's finishing, we are just going to finish this rice. So all we're going to do, once again, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic into there. This is optional, you don't need to add the garlic, but I do like the flavour of garlic running through this rice. And then next, just a touch of salt. Perfect, so the rice is ready, the prawns are cooked, all we've got to do is plate up. So let's get this sticky rice onto the plate. We're going to put that into the centre. Now, as I said, you've got that little gelatinous section running around it. It's ideal for this sort of dish. Now, there's enough in there for a couple of people. And then all we need to do is just spoon these prawns over the top. Now don't forget, we've got that pak choy in there, we've got that nice sweet and sour sauce that's already mixed with the juices from the prawns in there as well, just to create a nice little sauce that's running through. And there you go, my first dish made using the new Connect saucepan. A nice little sticky rice with sweet and sour prawns.